Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV with your NBA playoffs fade the public edition. The start of the playoffs this Saturday and Sunday, April 15th and 16th. I'm going to give you a preview of all the series that we have lined up right now for Saturday, also the first two series for Sunday, and also let you know where the public is leaning on sides and totals. Also give you a little advanced preview of where I think these series, how they might play out, where you might find some value, especially on the series prices. Also some NBA futures talk here. So it's an NBA playoff preview edition with a little bit of a fade the public stilt and tant. A little bit of it, a little bit of everything here as we head into the NBA playoff weekend here on Wager Talk TV. Quick reminder, NBA playoffs are a great moneymaker. I've said it for 30 years now. If I had to pick one sport to do for just a 1 or 2 month span, it would be the NBA playoffs. And the reason is quite simple. We get 5, 6, 7 game series out of all these teams. So we get to see the head to head matchups. We get the quick revenge situations. We get the zigzag. I know there's a lot of discussion that the zigzag on the blind doesn't work, but what does work is the modified zigzag, when to play on the team that lost the previous game, when to make the adjustment from the over to the under, because the odds makers are constantly adjusting the line. Sometimes they do it for the right reason, but a lot of times they do it for the wrong reason with misleading box scores. And that's where we step in and find value year after year. And by the way, the NBA in general is just a great moneymaker. Number one ranked here in 2023 at wagertalk.com, 52 and 34 as I head into the NBA playoffs. Number one ranked, 59 units won, 61% winners here so far in 2023. And now the playoffs begin, which I honestly think is an even better moneymaker than the regular season. But don't forget about baseball also. As we head into Friday night when I'm doing this video, I have not lost a side selection all season in Major League Baseball. Every money line and run line is cashed. 100% return on MLB sides. Not a surprise, number one ranked in MLB this year. And also the last 3 years since I joined the site, wagertalk.com, nobody has won more money with MLB totals. So quite simply, number one in NBA, number one in MLB. You don't have to decide if you want one or the other because you're getting them both right now for $199 with a special promo code SM30 Pass. Normally it's $179 for baseball, $179 for basketball. You don't have to decide. You get them both for just $20 more with promo code SM30 Pass. It's an instant $100 discount. Get it from $299 down to $199 right now on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm doing this video on Friday evening. The two final play-in games haven't taken place yet on Friday nights. We don't have all the matchups for Sunday, but we have all 4 matchups for Saturday. Also, 2 of the matchups for Sunday. So I'm going to look at all 6 of these playoff series here, kind of in rapid-fire, quick-hitting fashion, and also let you know where the public is leaning here, since this is a fade the public edition for the NBA playoffs. Let's start with the first game out of the gate, and what I consider the biggest mismatch in the first round, and that's Philadelphia 76ers, the 3 seed at home against the Brooklyn Nets at 1 o'clock Eastern on Saturday afternoon. Now, technically, it's the second biggest mismatch because the next game we're going to talk about, Boston Atlanta, is the biggest series price. But Philly is still a 1-9 favorite. Nets are a 6-1 dog here. I don't think this price is high enough because let's keep in mind, Philly might only be the 3 seed, but they're also the third best record in the entire league behind Boston and Milwaukee in the same conference. And this is also a Philadelphia team that has the leading scorer in the league this year in Embiid and also the leading assist guy in Harden on the same roster. Now, Harden's the real X factor for me going forward in the playoffs because it's the guy that's definitely underperformed in the postseason during his career. And this is the guy who needs to step up as he's done here in the regular season, being more of an assist guy. If that's the case, Philly's going to be a dangerous team this postseason. But the big play here is the Nets have no chance in this series because this Brooklyn team wouldn't be in the playoffs with the current lineup. The only reason they finished the 6th seed is because Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving had a monster record earlier in the season before they left the team. Brooklyn was lucky to hold on to a top 6 seed. They wouldn't even have been a top 10 team with this current lineup. If you're looking at the series price, obviously you don't want to lay 1-9. I never recommend laying minus 900. But you can take Philly at minus 2.5 games, minus 160, which means if they win 4-0 or 4-1, you cash. So I think that's worth a look. Philly minus 2.5 games, minus 160. As far as game one here, the most public side this weekend is the Philadelphia 76ers. The public is all over them, laying the 8.5, 8 to 8.5 points. It's understandable. You're getting a complete mismatch, single-digit spread. But once again, the most public side does appear to be Philadelphia minus the 8.5 here from a public consensus. And one of the more public totals as well appears to be the over in this game. Public is coming in on the over as well in this one. So both Philadelphia minus the 8.5 and the over 214.5 look to be 2 of the most public sides and totals this weekend in game 1 of the NBA playoffs. All right, next game goes at 3:30 Eastern. on Saturday. Atlanta at Boston. As I mentioned, this is technically the biggest mismatch in the first round, at least according to the future odds. And Atlanta right now is a 7-1 underdog. Boston a 1-11 favorite. By the way, both of these daytime games are on ESPN national TV Saturday afternoon. Hawks pulled the upset against the Heat earlier this week as the 8 seed to lock up the 7 seed spot. Everyone had written off Atlanta due to the turmoil with Trae Young, head coach Snyder. Nobody wanted to play there anymore. And they led from start to finish, covered from start to finish against the Heat. So it just shows once again, you can't try to guess sentiment too much. These teams want to play in the playoffs. And Trae Young is a big time performer. This guy had a great series against the Knicks a couple years ago in that 4-5 series back in 2021. And he obviously could step up. And I think that gives them a little bit more of a chance than the Nets. That's why I said, even though Atlanta's the biggest dog mathematically, I think the Nets are probably the biggest dog theoretically. If you look at the adjusted series price here, you can get Boston -2.5, -170, which is even more pricey than Philly. I don't think Boston loses this series, but once again, I do think Atlanta could be a little bit more of a live dog maybe than the Nets. I do think either Philly or Boston wins this conference. Milwaukee's the overall favorite. They had the best regular season record, but they're a very deep team. That's why they did well in the regular season. That's not as important in the playoffs as the rest and travel factor is equal for everybody. And also, Milwaukee only the 15th most efficient offense this year heading into the playoffs of the playoff teams. So I think that also could hurt them come crunch time in some games when they rely heavily on Giannis. I think both Philly and Boston could be very live dogs to get out of the Eastern Conference, and most likely, obviously, they're going to play each other in the third round here in the semis, the semifinal of the conference here after they both win in round one, and one of them won't advance. That's why Milwaukee has an easier road to the conference finals, but I think Boston and Philly might be the team to beat in this conference. As far as the public sentiment in this game on Saturday, not as much so on Boston. I mentioned Philly, a very public side. Boston getting a little bit of a public lean, nothing out of the ordinary though. A little bit of a lean towards the over in this game. Slightly in Boston, heavier lean towards the over. So the public does like the over in these two early games on ESPN Saturday afternoon. They definitely like the Sixers, very light lean only towards the Celtics. In fact, I'd say it's neutral because the public in general plays favorites, 55 to 60% of the time. And that's pretty much the realm I see the Celtics right now. So I'd say neutral on the side, slight public lean towards the over. Two more games for Saturday on the evening card. We'll stay in the Eastern Conference before we look at three Western Conference games for you. Knicks at Cavaliers, 6 o'clock Eastern, also on ESPN Saturday evening. Other than the Lakers-Grizzlies series on Sunday, this is the most competitively priced first-round matchup as the Knicks are less than a 2-1 underdog in this series. And I honestly, once again, not big on the Bucks. I said earlier that I think the winner of this Cavs-Knicks series could give Milwaukee some trouble in the next round. The question is which team gets out of this round. Julius Randle questionable for both games 1 and 2, recovering from the ankle sprain. That's obviously a blow for New York, but the real X factor here, we all know Donovan Mitchell's a superstar. He had numerous 40-plus point games this year after coming over from Utah. But Brunson, who came over from the Dallas Mavericks last year, he had 30-some points in his final playoff game against Golden State last year in the conference finals. And now he's with the Knicks. And I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. 6'2" guard, of course, played at Villanova. Great career there as well. I think Brunson could be the real X factor in this series, and the Knicks are a live dog for that reason. You could take him at plus 175 on the series price, or I think a better option is actually plus 1.5, minus 130 on the adjusted series price, which means they could actually lose game 7 and you'd still cash your ticket. And the reason I bring that up is because game 7 home teams hit over 80% of the time straight up. So if this does go 6 or 7 games, which it likely will, Cleveland would obviously have home court in game 7, which would put the Knicks at a bit of a disadvantage. So if you want to hedge a little bit, instead of taking the outright plus 175, you could take the Knicks plus 1.5 games, minus 130. And that way, even if they lose that game 7 on the road, you still cash your series play. But I think this will be a very competitive series, probably the best first round series overall. As far as game 1, the public is on the Knicks in this one from what I'm seeing. And once again, I think that reaffirms the fact that they think this is a competitive series. So ding, 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 public dog alert. The Knicks are getting the love from the public here in game 1. I don't necessarily disagree, though. I think this is going to be a tight series. And without Randall, and then this line's currently around 5.5, I think it's a bit inflated, assuming Randall is not healthy. Total is around 216.5 here, one of the lower totals in round 1, along with that Philly total. As I mentioned, the Philly over was pretty heavy by the public. As far as the public consensus here on the total in this game between the Knicks and the Cavs, they are leaning over as well, but nothing out of the ordinary. I say it's a fairly average lean towards the over, but the public does like the underdog New York Knicks. I'd say that's one of the more public dogs this weekend in the NBA playoffs. All right, one more game for Saturday, and then we'll take a switch over to the Sunday games. The nightcap, 8:30 Eastern on Sunday evening. This time switching over to ABC national TV. Golden State Warriors, the 6th seed at the surprise 3 seed Sacramento Kings. Really interesting series to talk about for several reasons. First of all, Golden State's over a 2.5 to 1 favorite, minus 275 to win this series. Yet they're the 6th seed without home court advantage. They went just 11-30 on the road this year. Sacramento's actually a 1 point favorite in many spots in game one here, yet they're plus 230 to win the series. So on the surface, that really stands out. It doesn't make sense, right? Well, of course, Golden State was without Curry, other key players for some games this year. They're definitely better than your typical 6 seed. In fact, they're the second favorite overall to win the conference as the 6 seed. Phoenix Suns, the 4 seed, are the overall favorite. So it's a real wacky West here. But I do think Sacramento can be competitive in this series, as evident by the point spread here in game one. The fact that they're a 1 point favorite in many locations. And once again, the question becomes, was Golden State really that bad on the road this year? Or was that just because they weren't making an effort? I do think it's a little bit of both. First of all, their last 3 road games of the season, they went 3-0 straight up. In fact, they won 4 their final 5 road games, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pulling it up now. They did. They went 4-1 straight up their final 5 road games of the season. They won 2 of those final 3. Their only loss came at Denver, the altitude of Denver, by 2 points. Otherwise, they would have been 5-0 in their final 5 road games. So I do think the 11-30 road record is a little misleading. This team was 33-8 at home this year, and that is why they're a favorite overall in the series. But a very interesting series nonetheless to talk about. And as far as the public consensus in this one, public leaning, it's pretty neutral. You even see a little bit of a lean towards the Kings in some spots, but they are leaning towards the total here to the over. Definitely say there's a public lean towards the over. A little bit of a lean towards the Kings, but more public towards the over here in the nightcap on Saturday night. And this total is very high, 238.5, highest total of the 6 games that we have lined so far for this weekend. And the public agrees. They say this will be a high scoring game. They like the over, slight lean by the public as well towards the Sacramento Kings. All right, those are the 4 games for Saturday. Now we have 4 games Sunday, but 2 of them we don't know yet because I'm doing this video on Friday evening before the final play-in games have taken place. So I'm going to give you a little advanced look at Sunday as well for the 2 games play conference. Just a quick reminder, if you want my official best bets for the NBA playoffs, and you really should, because I think it's the single best moneymaker in all of sports the next couple months, the NBA playoffs. Plus, I'm number 1 this year at WagerTalk in 2023 on NBA sides and totals combined, 52-34 as we head into the playoffs, up 59 units the first 3.5 months of this year. Number 1 ranked, also number 1 perfect in MLB sides, both run lines and money lines so far this year, 100% return on investment. And don't forget, since I joined WagerTalk 3 years ago, nobody has won more with MLB totals. Number 1 ranked there as well. So once again, number 1 NBA, number 1 MLB. You don't have to decide which one you prefer. You get them both basically for the price of one. Normally it's $179 for basketball, $179 for baseball. Get them both for just $20 more. Get them both for just $199. 30 days and nights, all sports. Instant $100 discount, but you got to have promo code SM30PASS. SM30PASS gets you the next 30 days and nights for just $199. Instant discount, down from $299 down to $199. You have to use that promo code when you check out. Go to the 30-day all sports, select the $299 package, enter promo code SM30PASS at checkout, and you instantly get it for $199 complete. My number 1 ranked baseball and basketball for the next 30 days and nights. You don't have to decide. Just make some money along the way. All right, you can get there quicker, by the way, a shortcut code WT.buzz/SM. Let's look at those 2 games that we have lined up for Sunday right now at 3 o'clock Eastern on Sunday on ABC. Really good matchup, probably the best first-round series overall. The LA Lakers, the 7-seed LA Lakers, against the number 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies. LA is only a 7 seed, but they're the smallest dog in round 1. They're only around plus $1.25 to win this series. It should be a great series, should be very tight, and that's because the Lakers are healthy with Anthony Davis, LeBron James in the lineup, of course. And don't forget also, they have the second best record in the league since the trade deadline in which they got rid of Russell Westbrook. Addition by subtraction, in my opinion. So Lakers are a lot better than your typical 7 seed. They did struggle earlier this week. They were a little bit fortunate to beat Minnesota in that play-in game. They were, in fact, down the majority of that game until Minnesota went scoreless for over 6 minutes. but still, Lakers' second best record in the league over the past few weeks. Very dangerous dog here. So I thought it'd be very interesting to see where the public is coming in consensus-wise on this game. And surprisingly, I've seen a split on this one. Some spots I see them leaning towards the Grizzlies. Other spots I see them on the Lakers. So I'm going to say it's kind of neutral right now. And it's a little early to tell. They're not as public as I thought they would be. In fact, overall, I'd say the public is leaning towards Memphis in this game, which I thought was a bit surprising because LA being a big name team in good current form, I thought they would get some more love. And I think the odds makers thought that as well. They opened the price pretty short at -3. It's now been bet up to -3.5. And once again, the public is leaning towards Memphis from the early indicators I've looked at. Total open 229. It's been bet down slightly to 228.5. Public is leaning over in this one as well. In fact, the public's leaning pretty much over in every game we've talked about so far in the NBA playoffs. And hard not to disagree. I mean, the NBA has been a high scoring league, historically high totals this year. But keep in mind, on average, over the past 3 decades, I've been doing this as a full time professional handicapper. NBA playoff games are about 2 to 3 points lower scoring on average than regular season games. So there's no question you get more defensive intensity in the NBA postseason. The question becomes, though, how much more will we get this year? Will it be enough to find value finally with the unders with all these high scoring games this year and high totals? But anyway, the public is coming in over on most of these games, including this Laker Memphis game. So I say a slight lean towards the Grizzlies, more so a lean towards the over between Memphis and LA at 3 o'clock Eastern. And the other game we have scheduled as of now, once again, we don't have 2 Sunday games lined up yet because the playing games haven't finished on Friday night as I'm doing this video. But the other game goes 8 o'clock Eastern Sunday night on TNT. LA Clippers, the 5 seed against the 4 seed Phoenix Suns. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, Phoenix might only be the 4 seed, but they're the overall favorite to win the Western Conference here. In fact, if you're looking at FanDuel right now, they're less than 2-1 to win the West. And then you've got the 6 seed Warriors at 3-1. And you got the 1 seed Nuggets at 3.5-1. So once again, Phoenix and Golden State ahead of both the 1 and 2 seed Nuggets and Grizzlies. And of course, Phoenix has Kevin Durant. I think Durant's only lost 13 games all season combined with the Nets and Suns when he's been in the lineup. He's a game changer. Devin Booker's a superstar as well. So I agree. Phoenix looks like the team to beat if they can stay healthy. So I did think it'd be interesting to see where the public was coming in on this one. And I've seen some conflicts on this one. A little bit of a lean in some spots towards the Clippers. Others have the Suns. So I'm going to call the side neutral on this one for the most part. Right now, pretty neutral here as the public is split on both the sides, Clippers and Suns here. As far as the total of all the games I said they're leaning over, I'd say this is the one where they're leaning over a little bit less than others. So if there's one over, maybe a little bit less than other games, it's this one. But once again, the public sentiment has pretty much been overs across the board in all 6 games that we've talked about here. Maybe a little bit less in this one than the others. And we have seen money come in on the under in the betting markets as well. 229, it opened as high. Now it's down to 226 heading into the weekend. 7-point spread has been consistent from start to finish, though. And as I said, I really see no public lean either way on the side. So odds makers did a really good job pricing this -7, as we've seen very little sentiment or movement so far on the spread. But once again, it is the late game Sunday night, or the second to latest game at 8 o'clock Eastern Sunday. So we might see some movement, but a lot of movement on the under, very little movement on the side so far in this one. As far as the series itself, I do think Phoenix is the team to beat in this conference, but this is a dangerous 5 seed underdog in the Clippers, especially if they can get healthy, if Paul George and company can get healthy during this series. They have the star power to keep it close, and that's why from an adjusted series price, I thought it was pretty interesting. You can get the Clippers at plus 2.5 games, -135. So once again, you're not asking them to win the series. You're not even asking them to take it to 7 games. You're just asking them to keep it somewhat competitive and pick up at least 2 games. And if you do so, you get -135. You get the Clippers at plus 2.5. Now, keep in mind, they're plus 375 to win the series outright. Phoenix -465. So instead of taking them at plus 375 and needing to win 4 games, you just need them to win 2 games at -135, at plus 2.5 games, -135. That means the Suns would have to win either 4-0 or 4-1 for you to lose that. So I thought there was a little bit of value there. As on the surface, I do think the Clippers can make this a closer series than expected. Not going to ask them to win it outright at plus 375, but I do think at plus 2.5 games at a -135 decent price, Clippers could pull out a couple victories here in this 7-game series. And let me know your thoughts on these series prices. We didn't dig too deep into them, but the adjusted series prices, I think, are a pretty neat way to play some of these and get the juice more down, to the -110 range, -130 range. So comment below in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on these series prices where you see value. Let me know where you agree or disagree with the public in games ones for both Saturday and Sunday. Don't forget it. Give it a thumbs up. Like the video if you found it useful. And make sure you hit subscribe. And most importantly, hit that bell for instant alerts when I do more of these NBA playoff videos. I never know when I'm going to have public information, but with all these games lined up for this weekend for game one, I thought it was a good time to sneak in, give you an NBA playoffs fade the public video. I'll definitely try to do it with the NBA finals in a couple months, maybe even the conference finals when the games narrow down a bit and we have more space in between games to gather public sentiment and data. But once again, hit subscribe, hit the bell for instant alerts when all these videos go live and all the shows go live here on Wager Talk TV. Thumbs up, like, and once again, most importantly, comment below. I read every comment. I reply back. I love the support. Let's win together. Let's all find an edge here in the NBA postseason. And once again, if you want my personal best bets on a daily basis, now is a great time to get on board. Number one ranked this year in the NBA, 52 and 34, 61% winners so far in 2023, up 59 units already the last 3.5 months as we head into the NBA playoffs. And by the way, MLB's red hot as well. Number one in MLB sides. I haven't missed a side selection all season. 100% return on investment. And the last 3 years combined since I joined Wager Talk, nobody's won more with MLB totals. Number one there as well. You don't have to decide if you want 30 days of basketball or baseball. Get them both for just $199 with promo code SM30PASS. 30 days and nights all sports for just $199. SM30PASS. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. Follow me on Twitter as well for more information. Free plays daily. By the way, I post a ton of free plays. They've been doing quite well the last couple months, hitting over 60% free for you on my page. I also put them up on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L, at Steve Merril on Twitter. And I'll be back with more videos throughout the NBA playoffs right here on Wager Talk TV. Thanks for watching. As always, enjoy the games this weekend and best of luck.